Welcome to Ingirisi Mahattaya. Please watch and give your precious comments.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we've got something a bit different, a really fascinating short piece of literature called The Ballad of Sir Malvolio in my classroom.
Yeah.
Now don't let that title, throw you off. This is really about poetry class. Our mission here is to use these, 4 short stanzas as a kind of perfect, hyper-efficient case study in behavior. We're going to look at Malvolio's spectacular, very public failure as a shortcut, really, to understanding something timeless about pride, perception, and making a fool of yourself in public. So what insights can this moment, this really embarrassing moment, give you about, the true cost of getting too big for your britches?
And that cost is flagged right from the start. The source introduces Malvolio and his defining trait. It's just instant, overwhelming self-importance. He's described as proud and high, holding his head up to the sky. What's critical here, I think, is that this pride isn't just like a personality quirk. It's the structural weakness. The whole prank hinges on it. It actually drives the entire disaster.
Exactly. That kind of high-altitude self-regard, as you put it, doesn't just invite a joke. It pretty much guarantees that any tiny spark of affirmation will just, boom, cause this massive explosion of delusion.
Yeah, it's the setup, the behavioral precursor to the fall, right?
Yes.
When someone's internal picture of themselves is that inflated, they don't really need much convincing from the outside. Just a trigger.
Okay, so let's unpack that trigger. The whole delusion, the thing that really kicks his vanity into high gear, it starts with this intriguing letter. This letter is basically the ultimate behavioral trap. It's perfectly tailored for someone just desperate to feel important.
Oh, absolutely. The writers, or the source material authors, they crafted it perfectly. The content is pure fuel for Malvolio's ego. Just concentrated stuff. It says, simply, dress and show, the lady loves thee more than thou know.
Right.
I mean, think about that. It's intoxicating, right? It confirms every secret hope he's probably ever had, but without offering a single shred of verifiable proof.
And that phrase, more than thou know, that's brilliant. It implies this secret, deep truth that, only he is now in on. It tells him, you're special, you're chosen, you just need to act the part, perform the status you secretly already possess.
And what's really striking here is how fast that internal hope becomes external action. It's not subtle at all. It's this immediate public performance. The second he gets this completely unwarranted praise, what does he do? He brushed his coat, he strutted near, and then basically demanding attention, he called for honor loud and clear. He hasn't earned a thing, but he's already physically getting ready for this role, this elevated dignitary.
And that's the immediate takeaway, I think, for you listening. Notice the speed, the sheer speed of self-delusion. How fast does your vanity maybe move from just an internal thought, oh, I'm better than these people, to a public, visible action? Malvolio brushing his coat isn't just tidying up. It's the physical act of him stepping right into the trap.
Right. And if we connect this to, the bigger picture, what are the modern versions of that letter? Maybe unsolicited praise online, an overly flattering comment on social media, getting a promotion you maybe didn't entirely earn. When we get that kind of affirmation, our internal pride just goes, ah, yes, finally, someone sees my true worth. And we stop doing the job, maybe, and start performing the title. And the second that external performance kicks in, the jest, the potential humiliation is all set up.
Yeah, it makes the fall totally inevitable. He's already committed to a reality that just doesn't exist outside his own head.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's where it really unravels. The context just collapses. The scene shifts, bam, right to the moment of humiliation itself. Malvolio shows up, completely convinced this is his big moment, and he cries out that key word, sir! And the source tells us he does this with trembling pride. So he's nervous, maybe, but absolutely convinced that title is now his.
And this is just a classic case of cognitive dissonance, isn't it, in action? He's got this huge internal expectation, this script in his head, but the external reality, it's already completely contradicting it. While he's there crying out for honor, what's happening? All around him laughed and snide. The audience is already laughing at him, but his vanity is so thick he completely misreads it. He probably hears snickering as, I don't know, applause or approval.
The genius of the ballad, I think, is how it presents this dual context. Side by side, you've got the immediate sort of official setting, the school, the classroom, where the teacher frowned, the teacher, she's trying to keep control, maybe smooth things over. So she attributes this bizarre shout of sir to what? A printing mistake. She tries to normalize it.
Right. She offers a rational external reason for the word, makes it impersonal. But the narrator, the one who knows the prank, who knows the real context, sees the awful truth. The narrator says, knew Malvolio meant sir and more. And that's the core communication breakdown, isn't it? Malvolio isn't correcting some typo. He's demanding the honor he thinks that letter promised him.
Yeah, that difference printing mistake versus proud demand, that's everything. It shows how one simple word, when it's filtered through extreme self-regard, can take on a meaning that it only exists for the speaker.
And that makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often are we operating in our own little Malvolio bubble? You know, we get a simple email, maybe a vague text message, or just a casual comment. And because of our own insecurities, or maybe, more importantly, our own pride, we load it up with intention and meaning that just isn't there. We start seeing printing mistakes as huge personal insults or grand confirmations of our own genius.
Meanwhile, the scene itself really hammers home the cruelty of this public humiliation. The hall becomes a stage, the source says, and the prank is in view. We even get names. Sir Toby laughed. Sir Andrew, too. It's a full-on, coordinated public spectacle.
Yeah, and this is precisely why self-awareness is the only real antidote to ending up like Malvolio. He bowed, he held his stance, completely refusing to break character, still utterly convinced of his high status. He's unknowing of his foolish dance. He holds that pose even while the audience is basically screaming the truth at him through their laughter. His vanity is like this filter, actively screening out anything that contradicts his delusion. He's getting clear audio and visual proof that he looks ridiculous, but his brain, it's translating it into confirmation. They admire my bearing or something.
That idea that you can be standing on a stage, everyone's laughing directly at you, and you still think you're nailing it, that's genuinely terrifying. As a behavioral state, he's suffering from total public self-deception.
That's the power of the Malvolio bubble, right? Once pride inflates that bubble, the person inside, they just can't see the plain walls of the classroom anymore. All they see is the high sky they believe they're soaring towards. They become immune to context, blind to the snide remarks, deaf even to the teacher's attempt at a rational explanation.
And that blindness is what makes the shift into the final stanza feel so immediate and so, well, urgent for us, the listeners. So, okay, what does this all mean for us outside this little classroom drama? The ballad just drops the story right there and shifts straight into direct advice.
Oh, learn you well, both young and old.
Yeah, the source is incredibly efficient here. It distills the moral lessons very quickly. First, there's the lesson about language and how we perceive it. A word alone can seem misrolled. It highlights that, yeah, folly often starts with a simple misinterpretation. But crucially, it's not just a mistake. It's a mistake that's actively enabled by selective pride. Malvolio only heard the parts of the message that fed his desires. And then you get that universal lesson about character, the one that applies to pretty much every self-inflicted disaster. Vanity lifts the soul to sky, yet makes us stumble, makes us try. Pride gives you that initial buzz, right? That lift, the confidence to put on the coat and demand, "Sir."
But that very elevation is what sets up the fall. The higher your self-regard climbs, the more public, the more painful, and the more spectacular your eventual crash is going to be. Why? Because you've performed your delusion for such a big, attentive audience. This ballad is basically a short, sharp argument for just practicing some preemptive humility.
The ending of the ballad is almost like a wry wink to the reader, isn't it? A kind of call to action for you listening. Remember, sir, and laugh a bit. The ultimate point isn't really about avoiding ambition, I don't think. It's about recognizing the trap, the structural trap of pride, before you're forced to step into it and perform your own humiliation.
And we shouldn't skip over that final viewpoint, the role of the observer. Which is your role now, listening to this. The narrator points out, "And there I sat, a grin so wide, seeing the humor he could not hide." The real knowledge, the deep learning, comes not just from experiencing the folly yourself, which is painful, but from recognizing it, understanding it in others, and implicitly seeing those potential Malvolio moments in ourselves before they become public disasters.
Right. The narrator got the whole lesson without any of the public shame. That's the real shortcut we were talking about, and that's why the final warning hits so hard. For pride can trap and wit can hit. It's sharp. So that was a pretty effective deep dive, I think. We took this simple four-stanza ballad and managed to pull out a whole blueprint for behavioral failure. How one simple word, sir, filtered through overwhelming self-importance, can lead straight to total, public, unmissable humiliation. It's a potent warning against mistaking your internal fantasy for external reality.
And given how everyone else saw the humor, the absurdity that Malvolio himself was totally blind to, here's a final thought for you to chew on. Malvolio was clearly the butt of the joke, but he couldn't laugh because he literally couldn't see the joke. He didn't get it. So what is the key difference, then, between knowing you're the subject of a joke and actually being able to laugh at yourself. What specific vanity right now might be making you miss the obvious jest or the obvious misinterpretation in your own life? That's the potential Malvolio moment just waiting around the corner.
Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe my channel.